simply is holding a cherry. It is very small. This is not a fruit that commands attention. It does not have a Supreme Court case. It did not get banned by governments. It is not consumed by billions of people every morning. It is seasonal. It stains your fingers, and most people eat it by the handful without a second thought. This is a mistake. The cherry, specifically the tart cherry, has accumulated more than 40 clinical trials in the last 2 decades. What those trials found does not match the fruit's modest reputation at all. There are 2 types of cherries that matter scientifically. Sweet cherries are what most people eat fresh, Bing cherries, Rainier cherries, the kind sold by the pound at markets in summer. They contain beneficial compounds. The research on them is limited. Tart cherries, sometimes called sour cherries, are less commonly eaten fresh. The variety studied most extensively is the Montmorency tart cherry, grown primarily in Michigan and parts of Europe. It is smaller, more acidic, and dramatically more concentrated in the compounds that make cherries medically interesting. Most of what we know about cherry science is actually Montmorency science. The primary compound responsible for the cherry's effects is a class of pigments called anthocyanins. These are the molecules that give tart cherries their deep red color. Anthocyanins are among the most studied polyphenols in food science. They function as antioxidants, neutralizing free radicals that damage cells, but their more relevant effect is on inflammation pathways. Tart cherries contain among the highest concentrations of anthocyanins of any commonly consumed fruit. The Montmorency variety contains approximately 50 milligrams per 100 grams of fruit, with concentrated tart cherry juice delivering significantly more per serving. The second significant compound is unexpected. Tart cherries are one of the only foods that contain a meaningful concentration of dietary melatonin, the hormone the brain produces to regulate sleep. Most foods contain trace amounts too small to be relevant. Tart cherries contain concentrations high enough to appear in the bloodstream after consumption and to measurably affect sleep architecture. This was discovered somewhat by accident in studies examining cherry consumption in older adults. The melatonin content is highest in Montmorency tart cherries, highest when they are dried or concentrated, and appears to survive the juicing process intact. The full compound profile of tart cherries includes anthocyanins, melatonin, quercetin, and tryptophan, a combination that affects inflammation, sleep, uric acid metabolism, and oxidative stress simultaneously. No single compound produces all the effects observed in research. The cherry's effects appear to come from the interaction of multiple compounds working through multiple pathways. This is unusual. Most foods that show research support for health benefits do so through one primary mechanism. The tart cherry appears to be affecting several simultaneously, which is part of why the research keeps finding effects in unexpected areas. Simply sets down the cherry. He picks up a research paper. He looks at the cherry. He looks at the paper. He looks back at the cherry. It is very small. The paper is very thick. This does not add up. He reads the paper anyway. The research on tart cherries does not match the fruit's cultural profile. It matches something considerably more interesting. 2 randomized controlled trials have directly measured the effect of tart cherry juice on sleep quality in adults with insomnia. In both studies, participants consuming 2 servings of tart cherry juice daily, the equivalent of approximately 60 tart cherries, showed significant improvements in total sleep time and sleep efficiency compared to placebo. A study in older adults found an average increase of 84 minutes of sleep per night. A separate study found improved sleep efficiency of 6 to 7%. The proposed mechanism is the combination of dietary melatonin and tryptophan, the amino acid precursor to serotonin, working together. The athletic recovery research is more extensive. Multiple studies have examined tart cherry consumption in the context of endurance and strength training, measuring markers of muscle damage, inflammation, and strength loss after exercise. A landmark study of marathon runners found that those consuming tart cherry juice in the 5 days before and 2 days after a marathon reported significantly less post-race muscle pain and recovered strength significantly faster than those receiving placebo. Subsequent studies in cyclists, weightlifters, and team sport athletes have produced consistent findings. Tart cherry reduces the inflammatory response to exercise-induced muscle damage and accelerates the return of strength. The gout findings are more recent but compelling. Gout is caused by elevated uric acid in the blood, which crystallizes in joints and causes severe pain. Tart cherries lower uric acid. A study published in Arthritis and Rheumatism found that cherry consumption was associated with a 35% reduction in the risk of gout attacks. Participants who consumed cherries alongside allopurinol, the standard pharmaceutical treatment for gout, showed a 75% lower risk compared to those on the medication alone. The proposed mechanism is the anthocyanin content inhibiting the enzyme responsible for uric acid production. Taken together, the tart cherry research suggests a food that affects inflammation, sleep, recovery, and uric acid metabolism, 4 distinct biological systems, through a combination of compounds that work synergistically. The research on tart cherries is more extensive, more consistent, and more clinically interesting than the fruit's cultural profile would suggest. Simply is still holding the cherry. He is now looking at it differently. Fresh tart cherries are the least processed form and contain the full complement of compounds. The problem is availability. Montmorency tart cherries have a short, fresh season, roughly 4 to 6 weeks in summer, and are difficult to find outside of major markets. They are also sour enough that most people do not eat them in the required quantity. Frozen tart cherries are the best alternative to fresh. They are picked at peak ripeness and frozen within hours, preserving the compound profile reliably. They are available year-round. The research dose equivalent in frozen cherries is approximately 60 cherries per day. Tart cherry juice concentrate is the form used in most clinical trials. It is convenient, consistent, and available year-round. The standard research dose is 2 tablespoons of concentrate, typically marketed as 30 milliliters, twice daily. This delivers the compound equivalent of roughly 60 to 90 tart cherries. The trade-off is sugar content. Commercial tart cherry juice is concentrated fruit, and 2 daily servings contribute a meaningful amount of sugar. For people managing blood sugar, the whole or frozen cherry form may be preferable. For athletic recovery and sleep applications, the juice concentrate delivers the fastest and most reliable dose. Timing matters for different applications. For sleep, the research protocol places 1 serving in the morning and 1 an hour before bed. The melatonin and tryptophan effects build over several days of consistent consumption before sleep improvements become measurable. Do not expect 1 serving the night before to produce results. For athletic recovery, the most studied protocol begins 5 days before an event or intense training period and continues for 2 to 3 days after. For inflammation and uric acid reduction, the effects appear with daily consumption over 2 to 4 weeks, without specific timing requirements. One practical note, not all cherry products are tart cherries, and not all tart cherry products are Montmorency. Sweet cherry juice is a different product with a different compound profile and minimal clinical research support. Dried cherries often contain added sugar and may be made from sweet rather than tart varieties. The label should specify Montmorency tart cherry. The best studied products in clinical trials have used juice concentrate standardized to a specific anthocyanin concentration. If you are using cherry for a specific purpose, sleep, recovery, gout prevention, the source variety and processing method matter. The cherry is very small. The research is not small at all. 40 clinical trials for a fruit most people eat for 2 months a year, if they eat it at all. Sleep, recovery, inflammation, uric acid, all from 1 tiny piece of fruit that most people have been walking past at the market without a second thought, simply finishes the cherry. He looks at the pit. He considers the pit for a moment. He picks up another cherry. He seems settled on this. Next episode. In 1995, researchers at the University of Sydney ranked 38 foods by a single measure, how full each one made people feel. Number 1 was not a protein shake, not a supplement, not a grain. The food that scored 323, more than 3 times the baseline, was a boiled potato. 1.6 billion people depend on it. Most of us call it a side dish. Episode 4, the potato.